We are with Professor Abram Elliott, and we want to learn more about alphabet.
Well, I'm altogether a little bit disappointed that the structure of the alphabet is as mundane and minute as this, and that it requires so many hundreds of different processes and sub-processes, and the transferring of pictures to letters which describe a word, the word being a definition of a picture or a designation of that picture. It seems to be a very roundabout way in which our knowledge of something has been achieved, but there seems not to have been any other way around it. And I'm wondering whether now, in the 21st century, when we do have digital ways and very soon quantum ways of communicating, whether language itself can be reconsidered and restructured, and if we need at all to use the existing structures for language. Now, I know that I mainly do talk about the very importance of language as the designators of where value is, because we don't know where value is in an infinite universe, and where language is and where the denotations, that's where our ancestors and our ancestors have buried the treasure, so to speak, have denoted that value is designated in a place where people have been trained to mark through language. So having said that and believing that, I'm wondering if not within the age of AI, whether value and language and communication can be done differently and more directly between people. They talk, and a lot of people talk about telepathy and sixth sense connections and other forms of communication. What I've been playing around with and have no clear theory on it yet, or I do have some parts of it, is the manifestation of the group imagination. The relationship between the individual imagination and how that individual plays out with other people and first as in partnerships and in creative relationships, and with one person, and then if possible extending it and then extending it. Generally, the way that I was experimenting, I feel it should be experimented, is where it is not for the purpose of money, that it is in a situation of surplus, where it is for the purpose of creativity and for the purpose of identifying the imagination, the exploration of the imagination, which is not dependent on survival, but depending on where the imagination wants to go. It's nature, and using instruments, the cultivation of the nature, and the entire experiment of humanity in the cultivation of nature with the use of instruments. So the use of instruments, and so humans exploring each other in a creative capacity with their instruments. And I thought that can be a very authentic human experience, and eventually, and with the creativity of 2, and then 3, and then 4, and finally until 10. I think 10 is a maximum, that a group, if it is fully expanded and using its creativity, it would be hard to imagine that a group can expand beyond 10. So you asked me about practicality of the alphabet. So the practicality of the alphabet and the creation of new ways of language and new ways of communication. I think that the relevance of this is that our communication structure is very complicated, and if we understand how complicated it is and have insight into it, we can then also have insight into how we can improve it, and we can enhance it and create scaffolding over, and not necessarily to dismiss it, but as things are, to develop a scaffolding over it and other methods to augment it and enhance it, and so as a reference, I think we should know it, but certainly we should be going further.